Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Donnie and Dolly brought to you by Able Auctions. Just ahead of Jeff Paterson, one of our guests of the day. Able Auctions services businesses throughout BC looking to liquidate their assets. Don't miss upcoming auctions, including a high-end fitness club in Port Alberni and industrial equipment and vehicles in Quesnel. If you are a business owner anywhere in BC looking to liquidate assets, email sales at ableauctions.ca. Just before we get to Jeff, a good text into the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox from Buddha in Ladner.
Yep.
Morning, guys. Are you on your game every day on your show? Do you guys have off days? 82-game schedule. Can we give it 10 to 15 games before you do your evaluation? Too much wavering back and forth when they go on a 6-game win streak and beat a couple of top teams. You guys will be planning the parade route. Good point by Buddha. But look, it's an emotional market. We get emotional here. All I know is what we saw last night, and it wasn't good. Detroit was good, but I know what I saw last night. I expected more. Great text.
10 years, one playoff win. You just want to see the pendulum swing the other way, Donnie. You just want to see them become an elite team. You want to see signs that they're turning the corner. Last night wasn't a good sign.
I wanted to see some.
First 3 games were fine.
Yeah, I wanted to see some anger last night. We didn't see it. Jeff Paterson joins us now from Sekeres and Price in the wake of the 5-2 loss by the Canucks in Buffalo. Jeff, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right, guys. And look, I think for me, this market has spoken. I saw a lot of noise in social media last night. The Canucks don't have the benefit of the doubt. After last season, really after the last decade, as you point out, Rick, they have run out of the benefit of the doubt from the consumer. And from the owner to the general manager, they have spoken. They have said this has to be a playoff season. And so I'm going to judge them by their own standards. And that did not look like a playoff team last night. I know it was one game and it's 4 games into this thing, but they've run out of any benefit of the doubt. And so nobody was complaining about the performance in Detroit. Nobody liked the result ultimately, but the effort was there. The process was fine. 41 shots. Some nights you're going to run into a hot goaltender. And then they had Sunday was a full team day off. Monday was a practice day. Like, it can't be fatigue. I know they're out on the road, but it's early in the season. They had 2 full days off between games, and then that. And that can't be acceptable. That kind of performance last night from top to bottom, nobody was good enough. And now, like, it's crazy to think that game 5 in Chicago and all of a sudden we're at like a referendum on this hockey club. But in my mind, that's sort of where they are. They cannot afford. There aren't many teams in the National Hockey League worse than the Chicago Blackhawks right now. And let them play the game. We'll see how it plays out. But, Detroit, a very winnable game without Dylan Larkin. Last night, you guys talked about it, no Eichel. And it was the effort level. It was being beaten to so many pucks. It was defensive breakdowns. I think people were having flashbacks. That last night looked like way too many nights last season. And the organization says it's turned a page. And then in the 4th game of the season, we're right back there. I understand the frustration in the fan base.
And it was against Buffalo. Say what you want about their start. They were the worst team in hockey last year, at least one of them. Should Travis Green be criticized? Because we saw a lot of that last night on social media.
I'm putting this one at the feet of the players. And quite frankly, the best players. And from that group, one in particular, and that's Elias Paterson. And guys, sorry, he's getting paid. It's okay to have standards for this guy. And he made it look so easy in his first 2 seasons in the National Hockey League that I think he raised the bar for himself. But let's be honest, he got off to a brutal start last year. He had 2 points in his first 8 games. Right now he's sitting on 2 points. They came in the Philadelphia game. He's been held off the score sheet in 3 of the 4 games so far. He needs to do more. They need more from him. He has to want to do more. And quite frankly, last night, I didn't think he had a great game in Detroit, but I was willing to cut him a little bit of slack, 3-4, missed training camp and most of the preseason. But I hope that, he would be fueled by the fact that he wasn't good enough and they didn't win in Detroit on Saturday. And I think his performance was worse last night. He didn't have a shot attempt through the first 40 minutes, finished with a couple of late power play shots. But come on, remember the first couple of years, I called it PD Magic. There were moments in every single game. Have you seen any of those? I mean, he scored in the shootout in Philadelphia, but They need a whole lot more from this guy, and I think it's okay to hold him to a higher standard, given what he's being paid now, given what he means to this hockey club, and quite frankly, if you go back, he played 26 games last year and had 21 points. He's got 2 points this year in 4 games. He's got 23 points in his last 30 games. What is Elias Paterson? Is he a 60-point guy? Is he an 80-point guy? He certainly hasn't shown the signs of being a 100-point player in the National Hockey League. And so I wanted to think that he had turned a page from last year. Again, it's only 4 games. There's a ton of runway. But based on the first 4 games and the fact he's been held off the score sheet in 3 of them, he's got to do more.
Jeff, the power play 0 for 3 last night. I know Quinn Hughes wasn't there, and he's the conductor of that power play from the point. But your thoughts on I saw your tweet last night about the power play last night. How concerned are you?
Well, let me tell you about Elias Paterson. But honestly, if he raises his game, if he's productive on the power play, it probably changes this part of the conversation. There's enough talent there. Do they miss Quinn Hughes? Of course they do. He's their best defenseman. He's one of the top defensemen, certainly offensively, in the National Hockey League. But Oliver Ekman-Larsson is a veteran that has produced on the power play for a decade in this league. Miller, Paterson, Horvat. You got Besser back in there. No excuses. They were just stagnant again. Last night's power play sort of transported me right back in time to so many nights last year where I just thought, where's the movement? Where's the fluidity of the players? Where's the puck movement? There was none of that. And give the Sabres credit. A young team that obviously is off to a decent start, but they're the Buffalo Sabres. And the Canucks had opportunities, 3 power plays and just did nothing with them, generated 6 shots on the night. Didn't think that the power play really got going until it was too late in that third period. So best players, top end guys, even without Quinn Hughes, I still think that there's enough talent in that lineup. And that's why I put it, at the feet of the players. Not that I give Travis Green a pass, but I don't think this was on the coaching staff last night, and I don't think it was on the GM. The GM made his moves in the summer. He went all in. He picks up Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Connor Garland, Jason Dickinson. They go for veterans to round out the lineup rather than, developing Jonah Gadjevich or Ole Levy. It's all about win now. The chips are to the middle of the table, and then they just lay an egg in game number 4. They can't have many more like this the rest of the season.
When you say last night's game reminded you of many last year, where that reminded me was the shots, 43 against. Here we go again over 40. Then the missed assignments in their own end, looking bad in their own end. That was supposed to be cleared up, Jeff. Brad Shaw, he was going to teach these guys how to check better. Your thoughts on their play in their own end last night?
Yeah, the first 3 games, I think defensively, they had been pretty good. Other than those 2 minutes late in Philadelphia, but they held McDavid and Draisaitl pretty much in check. You give up 2 goals to the Oilers, give up 2 in Detroit, and then the empty netter. And it looked for the longest part in Philadelphia like they were going to hold the Flyers to 2. And so, for the most part, I had liked what I had seen really 1 through 6. I thought Hughes was settling in. I thought Poolman looked all right. OEL and Myers together. And then that third pairing. And I know Travis Green wants to get the veteran guys in there, but I don't know if he necessarily, maybe he thought, it's the Buffalo Sabres. This is sort of a safe landing spot to make changes. Whatever the case, they had to replace Quinn Hughes. That was a tough night for Brad Hunt defensively for the first 3 Buffalo goals last night, and some missed assignments and some questionable decisions. And Luke Schenn, there was the 1 goal, I think the Tage Thompson goal, where he kind of got caught. But yeah, again, this comes back to the construction of this team that, they went for some veteran guys to round out the roster, supposed to have better depth. And we hear that at the start of every season, that they've had better depth than the year before. And then the depth gets tested in the first week of the season. And quite frankly, it didn't look good enough. Now, if the better players in the lineup had done a little bit more, maybe that takes some of the strain off some of the guys lower in the lineup. But they can't have a lot of nights this season where Justin Dowling's their best player, and a full credit to him for making the team and getting in the lineup and scoring and all those things. A good night for him, but they can't have a lot of nights where he is the best that they've got going. And so when depth guys get their opportunities, they got to step in there because, quite frankly, Kyle Burroughs has looked pretty good. And who thought that Kyle Burroughs' value would be known in game 4 of the season? But clearly it looked like they missed. They missed Quinn Hughes, but it looked like they missed Kyle Burroughs in there last night.
Yeah, you're not the first person to say that. Jeff, Brock Besser's debut, what'd you see? Season debut.
Oh, I like the heat on that first shot early. He buzzed the tower and kind of stung Craig Anderson, and I thought, all right, the hands are there. First game, I'll cut him a little bit of slack just as he tries to find his legs. He'd been out almost 3 weeks since that home game against Seattle in the preseason, believed to be a groin injury. and he worked his way back. He had been skating hard on this trip. I thought he might play in Detroit, but clearly they felt that holding him out for that game and getting a few extra days of rest would benefit him. And so I thought he was okay. But again, with what he's paid, with where he stacks up on this depth chart, when we're talking about best players, he's definitely in the conversation. Nobody in that group was good enough, and I would include Brock Besser, but of that sort of top-end group, maybe the least of my concerns, just because that was his first game of the season, and hopefully it won't take him long to get up to speed and start contributing and helping this hockey club win games, because that's the other thing, guys. 4 games in, yeah, they beat the Flyers, and that's fine. That's a win, but no wins in regulation. Like every team that they have faced, every opponent has taken something off the Vancouver Canucks. That's not a reputation you want as you work your way deeper into the season.
In Chicago against a struggling Blackhawks team tomorrow. Jeff, thanks for this. Talk to you next week.
Yeah, and quickly, guys, that game in Chicago, as I said, I mean, that one has some significance. The Blackhawks playing poorly, but Seattle is off the road now. Like, they don't play again until that home opener on Saturday. They're going to be laying in wait. That building's going to be jumping. Yeah. It's been years in the making. End of the road trip for the Canucks. Can they beat the Kraken? Sure they could, but it's kind of all stacked against them for the Kraken's home opener. That puts a ton of importance, in my mind, on the game tomorrow at United Center against the Blackhawks.
Jeff, good stuff. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.